All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Beehive Biker Podcast. Today we are joined by my sister-in-law, Kenzi Bierer. She has been riding the last couple of years with me, and it was really cool to be able to have a family member to ride with for first time in a long time. She's also a marketing major. Well, she's graduated with her marketing major from Dixie State, now renamed what?
Utah Tech University.
Utah Tech University. So we're going to have a really fun episode with her. We'll get to the premise of what we got going on today a little after we go over some news and some events. So here in Utah, we're really lucky to have kind of a event calendar that is put on by the Law Tigers. So we're just going to go over some of the events going on here in Utah in June. So our first event is Wednesday, June 19th, with the King Rally Utah. And by the way, we'll throw the link to this website on the podcast show notes. So there's that. Let's see, next we got Bike Night at Moto United, Friday, June 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. Born Free 15, Saturday, June 22nd, 10 a.m. Sunday, June 23rd at 5 p.m. Memorial Ride for Kyle, Sunday, June 23rd, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. 1 year Memorial Ride for Martin, Sunday, June 23rd, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Sunday Afternoon Ride, Sunday, June 23rd, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. And the last one for this month is the 3rd Annual AMC Awareness Ride, Sunday, June 30th, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. More information on each of those on this website. So addresses, locations, how much it costs, depending on the event, and any other general information. So that's what we have coming up. Make sure to support your local events, and hopefully we'll see you at some of these coming up. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, one thing before we start with the episode. I want to see Kenzi's raw opinion of this movie that's coming out. It's called The Bike Riders. I want to see what she thinks of the commercial. Kind of having to jimmy rig it to get everything working together.
The bike.
Okay. All righty. Here we
Riders.
You can't have those colors on in here.
You'd have to kill me to get this jacket off. I don't want any trouble here.
Then I'll let you lead. What about the bar?
Burn it down.
We gotta go.
Nah, we don't. You're scared of us.
The Bike Riders. Rated R. Only in theaters June 21st.
What do you think? You ever seen a motorcycle movie before?
I haven't seen one just about motorcycles.
I watched. Got another one turning on. I've seen parts of like Sons of Anarchy. Have you ever watched that show at all?
No, I haven't.
I just didn't catch my attention. But it's kind of cool to see some modern day movies and TV shows about motorcycle riders. I've heard there's some controversy about this episode because a lot of people are like, well, this is painting motorcycle riders in a bad light because it's about a club and breaking the law and all that stuff. But definitely one we'll have to review, talk about later. I just thought it'd be cool to talk about it real quick. But what do you think? Anything catch your eye in that?
I thought it was a very well put together commercial. My first thought kind of when I started seeing what it was about was I am a little bit worried about that. But kind of with the controversy that kind of threw over TikTok, I think it was at the beginning of this month, there was a lady who went on and talked negatively about some bikers and how they don't share the road. They're always breaking the law, made some nasty comment about that. But the bike community kind of came back and they didn't like slam her hard. A lot of videos came up and were like, hey, as a community, we forgive you. Some videos weren't like that. But I think the bikers have really kind of found a place on social media especially and are now standing up for themselves. So something coming out like this, I'm not too worried about getting a bad image because the bikers are going to stand up for the image that they want.
Yeah, and I think that people are going to have their like preconceived notions of motorcyclists in general. It's kind of hard to change somebody's opinion of it if they have a worse opinion because of this movie, it's because they already had a bad opinion. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, but I also feel like this is a big, not like it's not historic, but bikers are known to have clubs like this. So it also kind of shows that side to people who aren't aware of that.
Yeah.
Even though it's not as common that you see nowadays. So it does kind of touch on the uprising of motorcycle culture.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it like does it really accurately, like it does it justice so that, it shows how it was back in those days when motorcycle clubs were a lot more prevalent, and it's not just kind of showboating and making light of what happened. I don't know. I think it'll be good, but we'll have to talk about it later.
Yeah.
So today's episode, what we're going to be doing is there's obviously a lot of brands that people like, and everyone has their opinions, but we're going to go over a bunch of commercials and trailers for 2024 models from different brands, and we're going to see who does the best at their marketing, because I think that's where a lot of companies really need to focus in modern age. Everything back 50 years ago when it comes to motorcycles, I feel like it's kind of word of mouth. This is the best motorcycle. This is why, this, that, and the other. But marketing is top tier way you sell motorcycles in the modern age, using social media, movies. I bet you Harley Davidson and Indian, classic American horsepower is going to sell a lot better just because of one movie.
Yeah.
People are going to see it. They're like, oof, I want to look cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's, and it's same with something like Top Gun, him riding sports bikes. I'm sure that just immediately made sales go up on all sorts of motorcycles.
Oh, 100%.
So it's kind of cool. I want to see how it affects the market, but we'll start off. We're going to start off with the Royal Enfield commercial, and we saw a little bit of this getting ready to start the podcast, and it's definitely looking a little interesting. So we're gonna see what we think about it when we see the whole thing. So here we go. One sec.
सबसे अलग सबसे असली डिफरेंट कैलिबर हमसे मस्ती सीधा पप्पी तेरे आंसू पर हम गेम रखते मुट्ठी में हाँ जादूगर आए बाजीगर मैं बाजीगर सबसे अलग सबसे असली डिफरेंट कैलिबर हमसे मस्ती सीधा पप्पी तेरे आंसू पर हम गेम रखते मुट्ठी में हाँ जादूगर आए बाजीगर सबसे अलग सबसे असली कैलिबर हमसे मस्ती सीधा पप्पी तेरे आंसू पर हम गेम रखते मुट्ठी में हाँ जादूगर आए बाजीगर मैं बाजीगर सबसे अलग सबसे असली डिफरेंट कैलिबर हमसे मस्ती सीधा पप्पी तेरे आंसू पर हम गेम रखते मुट्ठी में हाँ जादूगर जादूगर आए बाजीगर बाजीगर
There it is. What'd you think?
I actually thought I liked it. You can tell that they do have a very defined target audience in their culture, or the way that they had the culture kind of set up.
Mm-hmm.
But they really wanted to do a lot of storytelling, because if you saw at the very beginning, they had the picture and they kind of recreated it, or what they want you to think was recreating history. But then they also want to show you how diverse this bike was.
Right.
You saw a lot of women next to it who had the traditional wear. You also had another woman who was a little bit different. And then you had the guys riding in the bowl. So they kind of were showing like, oh, this is great for pretty much anybody, from stunts to even daily riding. But it's cool to be on it. And everybody has it.
Yeah. And I think that, so I'm not a huge, not that I dislike Royal Enfield, but I just haven't done much research into them.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously manufactured in India. I think they have a pretty select few motorcycles, but I don't know. I mean, obviously you could tell this one bike is kind of a do-it-all.
Yeah.
That's at least that's the vibe I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had daily life, like you said, stunts, and then police or military. So, and part of their culture, I know that motorcycles in a lot of countries like India and China and Africa, like everybody rides motorcycles. It's the majority, not the minority. Like United States, it's kind of more, oh, well, it's your hobby.
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy riding for fun. They ride it for everything. It's for work. It's for getting your family to and from the grocery store, you know? So I do like that. I think it was unique and obviously pandered to their culture. I mean, and their target audience, you know, they're going to sell their most motorcycles there. So why not?
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, I think they were spot on with their target audience. I think that commercial is going to end up doing pretty well over there. And even seeing it here, I thought it was a pretty cool commercial. They had some pretty crazy stunts, some great shots, like the one where they had all the handlebars and the tires turning at once. That was a really clean shot.
Yeah, that was good. I did appreciate that. All right, let's see. Our next one, it's going to go over to Japan, and we're going to watch the Yamaha.
Oh.
I'm a
little biased to this one.
Yeah. What are you riding? While I'm getting it ready, what are you riding?
So I currently have a 2019 Yamaha R3. I absolutely love it. My first bike was also a Yamaha. I rode a 2001 Virago. That was a little 250. Great starter bike, especially being a girl. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, your R3 is a lot of fun. I think, what are you thinking? You're going to be upgrading to a R6?
I think I'll eventually upgrade.
Yeah.
But the R3 pretty much does everything that I need in a bike, other than I wish it did have a little bit more power.
Right,
but as for weight, height, size, I absolutely love it because I'm not worried about tipping it over. The fear of having to pick it back up, I know this is a bike I could.
Right.
Being on one of my friend's R6s, that was a big worry for me. If I fell on that bike, I'm not getting out from underneath it, or I'm not going to be able to pick that bike up by myself.
Right. They're very top heavy. Because I had the FZ09, which is just basically an R1, slightly smaller engine, but just no fairings. So yeah, definitely top heavy. So yeah, we're gonna watch the new Yamaha commercial. I don't know. I gotta say that was pretty bland.
It was. I wish there was a little bit more storytelling.
Yeah.
But my guess is they launched this commercial just to showcase the new ones coming out.
Yeah.
But where you're already familiar with these models, I would have liked to see the different color options.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they used pretty much the same rider throughout. And there was like not even a second. There was a female rider in there. And the only reason you could tell is because you could see her hair from the back. She was a redhead.
I didn't even pick up on that. I was like, obviously, if you're a Yamaha fan and you're watching this video and you're trying to decide like, ooh, am I going to upgrade to this next year's model? I just don't know if that would really help that much because you haven't, they didn't even really have specs. I mean, because that to me, that would be like the perfect kind of commercial for some specs, you know, like this is the horsepower, this is the torque, this is, you know, an upgraded engine, better fuel injection, or, you know, just all these different things that maybe would get you to buy it. But there was zero storytelling. It was like, these are the models.
Well, and at first I was loving like all the turns and kind of showing what it is capable of. It was showing the speed, it was showing the turn capability, which was really cool. But then after, you know, 30 seconds in, it's the same thing over and over. You're kind of seeing the technique of these riders, which was I'd say it was pretty good. Right. Which is a good thing to kind of to showcase in your commercials, kind of promote good riding, especially with gear. They had them fully dressed in gear, which is something I support. Most of the time, I don't wear my gear all the time, but
it's hard not. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, it's so hot outside. Yeah. Or I just want to feel the air in the wind in my hair, you know?
But seeing that on like the full gear, it's kind of like, oh, that's so cool. I want to look like that when I'm riding, especially when they're showing those turns and kind of the capability of how far it leans. Yeah. That was pretty cool. I wish it would have showed, like you said, the specs a little bit more, because I'm not someone who sits and researches bikes over and over and over. So I couldn't even tell you some of the specs of my bike off the top of my head. Right. So it would have been nice to see that.
I just feel like when it comes to a commercial, you either have to go the heritage route and like more storytelling, or you got to give some information. Yeah. That's my opinion.
I would have liked a little bit more. And they did, you could tell they were going for kind of that clean, not monochromatic, but the same color throughout. Yeah. So they were showing all the blues. It would have been cool to kind of see the different color options, because I did look up the R3s and the R6s that came out this year, and they had some pretty cool color options, especially on the R3.
I think that like we all know Yamaha is going to make a blue model every year. That's just Yamaha. So why not show off the cool colors?
Yeah. The other thing
if you want blue, it's there.
Oh, yeah. Blue's always, well, it's that same blue. Yeah. But the other thing that kind of got to me, just as a marketing thing, a lot of brands think that they need all of these taglines to kind of be cool. If you looked on that video, the headline of it was something different than what the end thing said. And then there was another tagline. So there were 3 taglines linked to that video. So
in marketing, is that a good thing to have a few variants, or is it good to just like, here's our one for this year, we're sticking to it?
I think if you were showcasing like a specific one, then you can have multiples, because I'm trying to think of like a good brand that has it. But like when you think of Nike, you think of Just Do It. So you kind of want to have your main one. And if you're going to kind of launch another one, you want to more like soft launch it, in my opinion. You can hard launch it and be like, this is it, but you don't want it to overpower like your true branding. And so having all 3 of those taglines, like, yeah, they were really cool phrases. They were exciting. I would have stuck to one for the year if they were going to do that. And then I would have just changed the one that was in the title of it to what they had at the end.
Gotcha. All
Make
right.
it a little bit more simple.
Cool. Good comments. We're going to move on to Indian motorcycles.
Some say history repeats itself. And to that we say, are you satisfied? Well, good. Because we have a history of icons, of champions, and legendary firsts that proves we're never done making history. Introducing the all-new Indian Scout. A machine more than 100 years in the making. Heralded by the return of the legendary 101 Scout. With its harmonic blend of style and substance. Where iconic American design, rider-focused technology, and spirited performance work together to create an unrivaled balance of power and control. All this delivered to you in our newly designed 1250cc engine. Forged from our competitive spirit for you to make your own history. Born from icons, ridden by legends. The all-new Indian Scout.
That was good.
That's been my favorite so far.
Yeah.
That one was a solid commercial.
Yeah. I think before I forget it, that last bit when he overlaps and then disappear, the heritage bike disappears, seamless. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm not even, I don't hate on Indian as a Harley rider, but like, obviously I drink from the Harley Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
That's my brand. But I know there's a lot of people that really love Indians, that a lot of new riders are like, hey, that Scout looks like a good starter bike. And I've sat on them super low to the ground. So if you have a shorter inseam, super good bike. I haven't rid one myself, but definitely want to be getting out soon and just test riding crap tons of bikes so we can have a better opinion on them. But yeah, they definitely did better than Yamaha when it came to showing off the colors like you'd mentioned.
Yeah. And the diversity of the riders. You had people from different ethnicities. You had male, female. And it showcased a lot that bike could do.
Yeah.
It showed kind of the turns. It showed kind of your daily riding. I thought it did great with their casting and their colors. They had those really cool transitions. Like, you almost didn't even notice that it was changing colors.
Right.
Because
Very
of the
subtle,
way they did it.
But each of them popped enough that you're like,
yeah.
That's the color I want.
When they showcased kind of the aspects that a lot of people look as cosmetically on a bike. It kind of would show kind of the gas tank area, the badging. I know on some of them it showed kind of the exhaust on it.
Right.
But it really showcased each of the different colors really well. So it's like I almost feel like I did see all of the colors that entire bike. So especially at the end where it kind of did that flashing and it really kind of quickly transitioned through them. I think it showcased those bikes amazing. Yeah.
I think the other thing that stood out to me is a lot of people, one of their gripes with Indian is that they struggle with their own proprietary, but the Indian branded aftermarket parts. So like Harley Davidson has a catalog this, 2 inches thick of these are this year's models aftermarket parts that are provided by us, that we sell, that we manufacture, they're in-house, right? And a lot of people want that same thing for Indian. And so that last bit where it was like, hey, look, you can switch the shocks out. You can switch the exhaust out. You can switch this, that, and the other out. That was really good for proving a point like, hey, this is something we've heard. That's important to us to get to our customers and to sell more bikes. So I think that was really good.
Yeah, their branding was, I'd say their branding out of so far all of them, they kind of stayed true to their brand. Like you said, they're listening to what their consumers want, which a lot of even automotive companies aren't even doing anymore. And so to hear a brand doing that, it almost makes you want to look into their bikes more.
Yeah, I definitely want to go try some.
Yeah, well, Indian's one that I know, like, if I was to go back to the cruiser style, that's going to be one of the first brands I look at, just because I like the way they look. I like the way they sound. Seeing them on the roads, I just think that they're a very clean looking bike, and they kind of have not your big bulky Harley look, which a lot of Harley riders love. I love the look of your bike, but it freaks me out because my
It's a
thought
big bike.
process is that's a big bike. If I tip it, I'm not going to be able to pick it up.
Yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. I'm just kidding. But all right. Yeah. So I guess hold all your ratings till the end. We'll
Okay.
just say like, hey, what are your top 3 by the end of it?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. We're moving on to Ducati. If I can find it. I guess, I don't know, same kind of issues as Yamaha.
Mm-hmm.
I keep wishing that like I'm watching that and I'm just like, when's it gonna cut to the streets? You know,
Yeah.
like show that it's we know it's a race bike
Mm-hmm.
and it can handle itself, and it's, you know, the street version of the same kind of bike that they race.
Yeah.
Show it hitting the road, you know.
Mm-hmm. What I did like about this one is it did show more of the stunts that it's able to do.
Mhm.
And if you kind of looked at one, I think it was the first turn I went into, they kind of cut it and then cut it again to make the turn. And so it showed that it can do those fast transitions
Mhm.
in a turn, which was something that Yamaha didn't really.
Yeah, this one was
highlight.
definitely more involved, like
Mhm.
showing some more of its capability.
It did have a little bit more storytelling, which I did appreciate. Like, but the other thing I loved was, I don't know if you noticed the sound, the way that they had the sound going in and out of the headphones.
Mhm.
It really kind of circulated.
Yeah, it made you
Which
feel
was
like you're a
cool.
part of it.
Yeah, so it really kind of pulled you in that way, which was
Yeah,
something
I
I
get
haven't
that.
noticed from the other ones. Because if you were sitting in a movie theater and you saw that one, that would stand out because you would hear the sound kind of going around you, so you'd feel like you were racing on the bike.
Good point. Good point.
Mhm.
I like that. Any other thoughts on this one? It's pretty short.
It was short, which I think that's where they also kind of got a little bit up on some of the other ones. A lot of people can't hold your attention span that long, especially
Yeah.
with shorter videos becoming more and
Yeah.
more popular.
Short form, yeah.
So I think it was simple. It was sweet. I think the way that they did it was good. Could have they done some other things? Yeah. But I think it was a pretty solid commercial.
Cool. I like it. Okay. Next one. Okay, this one. Actually, don't know what brand. Oh, no, this one's Kawasaki. Thoughts?
I felt like it had the same feeling as like a clothing commercial, which isn't a bad thing, but the way that they had all the graphics kind of coming up, that's kind of my initial thought is like, you know, when you're going back to school as a kid and it kind of is showing clothing commercials and it's like showing them
Welcome
going
back to
different
school.
places.
It's time to buy a motorcycle. I didn't even think about that.
That was the
This
film
is
that
like
I got from it.
your garden variety Walmart commercial for back to school.
Oh, it would be more like not department store, but like J.C. Penney's kind of commercial.
Kawasaki, you need to check your target audience. We're not going back to school.
I mean,
We're not kids.
Their reach for target audience was pretty good, and they did do that pretty good. I don't know if you caught on to that.
I think so. It's obviously a cafe racer style bike.
Mhm.
It's the modern take on the cafe racer. That was definitely the thing that I got across is like, hey, this is your town jumper.
Mhm.
You're hopping on this. You're going places. To stop, check things out. I mean, the only thing is like, wait, you're shopping at these stores. You got no storage on that bike.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's a cafe racer. You're going out to lunch. You're hitting up the bar. You're going to meet up with friends for a little quick ride. It's what the bike's for.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be a long touring bike or something, anything like that. So not a bad commercial. I just think it's the points he made were funny.
Well, it was a good looking bike. They did showcase it really well at the beginning. I felt like the commercial was a little bit too long for what they were doing in it. And it was really busy with their editing because it did kind of show like the journey that the guy was going on. But the first thing I noticed is they were really, so when you're doing a commercial, you kind of want to appeal to different things. And one of the big things marketers will appeal to is the sex appeal. And so here they used an attractive guy on the bike. They showed that, hey, he's getting hit up by girls. Girls are noticing him, which is something a lot of male bikers are looking for when they're on a bike.
Right.
They want to be seen.
They want the recognition.
And they want the female attention or the gender that they're into attention.
Right.
And so that was kind of the thing I noticed. They showed a lot of him taking off his helmet and like, oh, look, I'm so cool. I'm getting off this bike and I'm going day to day and people are noticing me.
Mm-hmm.
And so they really played on that sex appeal. So they did that really well.
Yeah, I get that.
So I did kind of think that was a little bit funny how that was the turn that they took. But it was really busy with all of their different edits coming on and off. And then I don't know if you noticed at the end, it had another tagline and then it went to their thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was almost so fast that you couldn't read it. And
yeah,
so
I missed
think
it.
they would have been better. I couldn't even tell you what it said.
Exactly.
It was short. It was like 2 words. But and then they had their normal tagline. I feel like they almost would have been better just ending it and showing that tagline. I think they could have shortened it a little bit because by the end of it, I don't even remember what parts of the bike they showed and what they showcased. I just remember, oh, that's a cool guy. He's riding a motorcycle.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of funny to see like all these other, historically racing companies. You've got Yamaha, Ducati, and we're going to watch Honda next. And then Kawasaki, and the route they take is like the casual route.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I would just expect them. Well, I mean, maybe this is good. They're outside of their normal fold. Like they're talking about more than just their race bikes. So I can respect that.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And that's why you have different bikes is because people like riding for different things.
Mm-hmm.
You have your people who like to speed and do stunts. You have your casual riders. You have your people who just want a good daily driver. So I think it was a good edge to take on this bike. So I think they did it well. I think it could have been shorter.
Yeah, a little long.
They could have focused
a little
more
long
on the
for
bike.
the style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's get to Honda. Okay. They were like,
Yeah.
I did not see that coming. Okay. I thought that was really good until the very end. That was like somebody in marketing's like, well, we have to talk about our new EV. Just throw it in at the end.
Was it a moped though?
That's what it looked like to me.
I'm pretty sure it was a moped.
I'm like, this is not fitting the form factor for this entire video. Like, it's like, hey, we have the sport bikes. They're good at racing. We have the street bikes. They're good at, they're your commuter. They're your bar hopper. We have the tour bikes, the adventure touring, get out in the mountains, go see stuff. Like,
Yeah.
here's what we can do. Electric vehicle. Electric moped. Not electric cool motorcycle, electric moped.
Yeah. Well, and I loved, they did kind of do what we've been talking about and what we've been wanting, the sport bike on the track and then on the road.
Exactly.
And it showed a really cool canyon shot on that. And it showed the handling skills that the CBR can do. I thought that was a really well done commercial. It did play on the sex pill on some of those bikes as you got into
like that
it.
middle part is just like all ladies walking around. Like pretty ladies and pretty guys.
But it was also, it wasn't just the sex pill. It was also showing the inclusivity. Yeah, there we go. Because you had a lot of different ethnicities jumping in. You had a lot of male, female. So it did show a lot. And it did show like, hey, you get this bike, you're going to have fun. It showed the cliff jumping. It showed being out with people. So they were playing on a lot of different angles in that commercial,
which is
make
good.
this attractive to you.
Man, they dropped the ball at the end. That was like a completely different commercial. I'm like, we were watching something cool, and then another commercial started at the end. Like it didn't even feel like it was part of it.
No, it didn't. I mean, if they were gonna do it, I wish they would have introduced it a little bit different because the transition just
it was
so
like
harsh.
Yeah, no.
Like it was going so strong. But like even if they were introducing the electric, like I'm all for the electric. So that's like what I'm hoping my next bike's gonna be is an electric bike because I want to explore that part of the industry. But moped of all things.
You're definitely not getting that one. Yeah. I did not see that coming at all. Like I was like, man, maybe I need to look at, maybe I'll have my Harley and then I have my Honda off-road adventure bike. Like that got me motivated to look at that. But then it was like,
yeah, and off-roading's like, that's not my style. That kind of freaks me out a little bit, even though it's probably a little bit safer than being on roads with some of the drivers out there. And
right.
But like it looked fun. It really played on that. You're going to have an adventure if you get
anybody
this bike.
can do it.
And it was like, it doesn't matter what bike you get of ours. You're going to have fun. You're going to have an adventure.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Except for the moped. The moped's just technologically cool.
See, that's the problem is like, now that's like the one thing. I think that's the issue with the marketing in that is that it's the one thing I think of.
Yeah.
If someone was like, hey, you saw that commercial, what stood out to you most? It's going to be the moped. And I'm like, but I don't think they want that as like their image.
Yeah.
Or maybe they do. Maybe that's, I don't know. If they did, they ought to put it more in, like you said, Yeah.
Well, I feel like you almost had two different video editors making that commercial because you had the fun and then it was just like, okay, we're going to let the intern do this part because it totally switched dynamics.
Right.
To, like when you think of Apple or when you think of Tesla, like it kind of went to the grays and the whites.
Yeah.
You lost all the fun colors. You were in like a sciencey looking building.
Yeah, it was definitely like CGI basically.
Yeah, so that was disappointing, but
oh boy. Hopefully Suzuki does us better. think that was like middle of the pack. Not
Yeah.
super great, not that bad, you know?
I think looking at it, watching it, it really had the potential for being good, but I was just waiting for it to be exciting because it is a sport bike.
Mm-hmm.
I did like that they did not take the route of being on a track, and they did take a different route, and they did showcase the different styles, and the editing in it was really cool.
Yeah, I think the
But-
editing was great.
I don't know what it was. I just wasn't excited about it.
Drawn in.
I don't know if it was just the way that they had the music. It was kind of lower, a little bit, not slower, but not as loud.
And there, I feel like for the most part, there was like no engine sounds. You couldn't like feel the bike.
Maybe that's what it was.
I think that's what it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the transitions between each color, I felt like those were seamless.
Yeah.
Like zooming in on the 8R,
Mm-hmm.
clipping into the next bike, next rider. I liked how on the lady's bike, she was showing off touring capability. You
Yeah.
know, we've got the tank bag and then the saddle bags, the hard saddle bags. Shows that it has some modification for different uses. I liked that.
Well, and the way that they had their riders, same great thing, the diversity of them. You had the different ethnicities. You had the male, female. It showed that it is a bike for everyone. I kind of felt like, though, it was almost for an older person because they were all kind of, they were older than me. There was the one guy that kind of had the gray in his hair.
Mm-hmm.
So
The
they
video
did kind
editor.
of show a little bit of an age difference, like, oh, you can be a little bit older and still ride this bike. It's not just for the younger generation. But
Yeah, I guess they could be saying like,
Yeah.
it's not a bad target audience to hit
Mhm.
like the high 20s, mid to late 30s, because those are people who've gone to school or have got into their career field. They've advanced. They're maybe have less debt, more expendable income. So it's not a bad group to pander to.
yeah,
So it just didn't grab me.
yeah. It wasn't
So-
as engaging as some of the other ones.
But I see what your point, whereas like that had potential, but it just totally dropped the ball.
Yeah, the storytelling I thought was great.
Yeah.
I liked how it did tell the story, and it even told the story of each individual rider a little bit, kind of showcased their lifestyle. So it showed, oh, this bike's going to fit any lifestyle. So the storytelling was there, the diversity was there for both the actors and the bikes. It showed great things. It just wasn't it.
Yeah. Something was missing.
Yeah.
So I if I had to bet, it'd be the sound of the bike. Like you just
Mhm.
it was too, didn't incorporate it into the
Yeah.
into the sale of it. So all right. We're getting close to the end here on our commercials. Our next one are KTM Dukes. I don't know. My opinion, my first instinct is that like I didn't like, maybe it's the headphones. We're hearing it really, up close. But it was all over the place with the sounds. Too much cutting, like mid sound and then the next sound and then the next sound. Cut.
Yeah.
It was throwing it off for me. I couldn't focus on the actual bikes, I feel like.
Well, and they had all of the bikes in the same color, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Because as someone who can't identify similar looking bikes to the styles, I almost wish they would have kind of color transitioned so then you knew it was a transition. Because I didn't even realize they were showing other bikes because the words would come on screen, but I'd be so distracted by all the stunts that I wasn't even reading them until I saw a whole nother rider pop in and I was like, oh, they're doing different bikes. And they're moving so fast that it was like you really didn't get a good look of the bike. It showed what they're capable of, which was great, but it was really repetitive.
Yeah, definitely repetitive.
And I don't know if you've noticed, a lot of them have that glitchy style of editing. I don't know if that's just kind of a trending thing, but the more that happens, the more it's like I'm annoyed of it.
Yeah, this was definitely the glitchiest out of any of them.
Yeah, but the last couple have
all
had that.
Over the place. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I would say that's probably like bottom 3 so far.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't get it for me.
Yeah, and I'm sad because I love the KTMs.
Yeah, they look nice. They're great bikes. Local guy here, he rips them like crazy. Like he could stunt in one of these commercials. That's what he does around here. So, yeah, great bikes, great look if you're looking for a sport bike. But this commercial just didn't do it for me.
No, I think it also didn't showcase a lot of the bikes. Like you see a lot of them, and it kind of showcases the curves and like the styling of the bike. This one really didn't.
Yeah, you couldn't like admire the bike itself. It was like, okay, I admire what it's capable of, but not like I couldn't tell you any distinguishing differences between the models.
Yeah, until the end and they're all there. I could tell you a few things when I see them all side by side.
But it was mainly just paneling. There's more paneling depending on what model it was. So, yeah. Could have been better at like distinguishing them.
I did like the set. I will say that kind of.
Yes, definitely. The thing that came to mind was Top Gun.
Yeah,
I think that was some Top Gun vibes. So,
yeah, that was cool.
Cool. Okay, let's see. I think we're on our last. Are we on our last one? Let's see here. Oh, we got a few more. Okay, BMW.
What does it take to lead the way? It takes courage, stamina, and belief. It takes an irresistible urge to always think ahead. I don't want you to just follow the well-trodden paths. I want you to break new ground and always search for more. I want you to dream big, look past the horizon and even further. I want you to believe in your strengths, to step out of your comfort zone and grow beyond yourself, to overcome boundaries and to turn obstacles into opportunities. Embrace the thrilling, the new, and the mind-blowing experiences that lie ahead. I will guide you to places that you've always wanted to see. I will give you feelings you've never felt before. I will connect you to like-minded people from around the world. I will always be at your side. I am the new BMW R 1300 GS. Let's set the pace together.
First thoughts?
I felt like it was a car commercial. Like, there's a car commercial that was almost very similar to that. And I don't know if it was just because of the, like, set that they were on, but kind of like the dirt picking up, the voice going over.
My bad.
The storytelling was good. You could tell who their target audience was
Oh, yeah.
kind of a little bit of the older generation.
Well, I think when it comes to BMWs, I think they have a really good sports bike sales, but currently the big thing is adventure bikes for them.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. I see more adventure bikes, BMW adventure bikes, than I do any other type of BMW bike. So I get why they're going for it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of, like, you think of BMW, it's like almost more of a not like a luxury brand, but they kind of try and take that edge a little bit. Like, they dip into it.
Yeah, I think it's probably because of their car side.
Yeah.
Like they're definitely like entry level luxury, not like top of the line. But if you're buying the BMW cars, then yeah, I definitely get that vibe from them.
So I feel like it did speak to the target audience. I'm not that target audience. I also, the voiceover, they had a really good voice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like it was as exciting. Like, you saw these things going on screen, but the voice was so mellow that I almost couldn't feel the excitement of the way the bikes were.
Yeah. The other thing, I didn't even pick up that it was the motorcycle talking until like halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, why does he keep saying I? Like, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. And I'm like, why does it keep saying I? That's kind of weird. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh, it's the motorcycle saying, I want you to take me riding. I want you to take me on these grand adventures. Like, and I'm going to be the one that takes you there.
Yeah.
It took me a second. It definitely wasn't like intuitive.
Yeah. Well, and the beginning of the commercial, it took a good 20 seconds before you even see the motorcycle. You just kind of get all of these shots. You see the biker. You don't see the bike. But then when they do introduce it, they do show the 3, which I did appreciate. It being a motorcycle commercial, I feel like they should have introduced it a little bit sooner. But
yeah, I get that. I think it was, it just didn't give that excitement, like you said.
Yeah.
Because like thinking back to that Honda one where they were out, like that was cool. Like, man, I want to do that. Even though that's outside of my comfort zone, like that sounds fun.
Yeah.
This one didn't give me that same vibe.
See, and I can see where they were trying to go for, being the way that they were telling the story with the bike. But I feel like if you're going to do that, you got to make it very obvious to your consumers. And you almost got to make that more of a comedic kind of commercial. So I feel like this type of commercial would have gone better on like something like a Grom, where it has that cult-like following.
Oh, yeah.
But the people just want to have fun. And you could do a funny commercial like that with a Grom.
No, I get that. Yeah.
So, because that's your target audience, is they like that fun.
It's like it's taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
I get that.
So I think it would have been better being more of a comedic commercial, not for BMW, because
It just
that would
fit.
lack the brand.
Yeah.
But for a different brand doing that, you could make it blatantly obvious that it is the bike talking, and it would be a fun commercial.
Yeah, I could see that. Good point. Good point. All right. I think this is our last one.
The Harley Davidson.
Best for last. All right. Let's see here. Here we go. Oh, maybe. Try this again. What do you think? I don't want to give my views off too fast.
Okay, that's fair. I felt like it was two different commercials.
Why is that?
So you have that first part where it's just showing all of the beautiful curves.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was almost like a movie. Like, you know, when you're in the movie theaters and it like kind of shows a little bit of the movie and then it kind of does the disclaimer and then it shows the rest of the commercial.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. It was like the title card showed up and then the rest of the movie. Yeah, I get that.
I loved the kill switch. That is such a trendy thing right now. So I love that Harley picked up on that and was like, this is going to be funny.
Well, and
it was good.
Probably something you didn't pick up on, but the two riders are actually brothers. They're the two of the Harley Davidson factory team racing team for the Bagger race or King of the Baggers Racing League. So that's Kyle Wyman and his brother. Why is it? I'm losing it. What's his name? Why am I brain farting?
I couldn't tell you who it is.
Well, they switched him out for James Rispoli. So, but anyways, two brothers that have raced together for years, and so it's kind of got that cool dynamic, and then the fun of it. You know, they're brothers teasing each other, racing, having fun, weaving in and out, and just hitting the town. Like I like that.
Yeah. It was a fun commercial. I loved the way that they kind of zoomed in on the badge part of the Harley logo. And that's how it kind of was introduced. It really brought in kind of their branding and their logo to kind of be like, hey, this is recognizable. You know this. So I thought that was really creative. I wish they would have done the beginning part. Like I get they were kind of going with the beats of the like sound, showing it. But the way it transitioned, I wish they would have done that beginning part a little bit faster because towards the end of it, you were starting to lose me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was really cool. That would have been a really cool commercial by itself as a standalone. But I think put together, it was two different styles. If they would have sped it up or even incorporated it throughout the commercial and edited it in the right way, I think you could have done it like that.
That's I think that's a really good idea. That if you just like, okay, you've got the racing going on, clip, here's body style, here's some close-ups. So kind of like when we were talking earlier with the KTMs, like you were getting all stunt, no like substance.
Yeah.
You couldn't like see what each bike personally.
But I did love the lifestyle factor of it. It showed this is a fun everyday bike. You can ride this anywhere, even though it is big.
Yeah. So I mean, currently Harley Davidson's definitely focusing on the bagger, performance bagger, I should say. I mean, the ST, the sport touring models, and in the last couple of years, and then with this CVO Road Glide ST with the new fairing, they're definitely showcasing like, hey, you want to be part of this movement, the sport touring movement, and performance baggers, racing. I mean, that's why they brought the brothers in. Like, hey, racers have fun on these bikes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think Harley stayed the most true to their brand. Yamaha did a really good job doing that. They obviously were like, we're going to stick to our brand and that's it. But Harley played it off in a really creative way where they showed, like you said, the people on their team. But they really engaged in that because that is like the iconic.
Yeah.
So I liked how they brought in their brand, but almost brought it to like an everyday person because even just watching that, I feel like I could have been included in that.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Okay. Conclusions.
Oh.
What do you think? Let's do your top 3 and why, and then maybe the worst. Let's see what your worst option is.
Pull the downloads so then we can see it.
Okay, sounds good.
So then I have like a reference of it.
You can look at all of them at once.
Yeah. Because we watched a lot of them.
Yeah, 10. So we'll do your top 3 and then your absolute worst.
Okay.
So we got Harley Davidson, Yamaha, Indian, Ducati, Kawasaki, Honda, Suzuki, KTM, BMW, and Royal Enfield.
Okay, so are we going to go third, second, first? Is that how we want to do it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so for my third, there's a couple that I would put right here. But I almost would go with the Royal.
Okay.
Why? I feel like they stayed true to their target audience. They had a very dynamic commercial compared to a lot of the other ones. It still had the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
They stayed true to their brand. So just overall, it was a solid commercial
Had
for
a
what they
little-
were doing.
Had a little bit of everything.
And it was like it did have that excitement tone because it showed the stunts, it showed the writing, had the inclusivity. So I think they would take the third.
Okay. I'd say that's a solid third.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Second place.
I'm gonna give that to Harley.
Harley.
Yeah,
Okay.
I loved how they stayed true to the brand. Their storytelling was great. They threw in that comedic thing, which you don't really think about with
Yeah.
Harleys, and
It's
especially
all the serious tones.
and especially where that's trending, the like kill switch on TikTok. Like you see that all over.
Yeah.
Like motorcycles. People are even getting out of their own cars to like turn somebody else's kill switch off.
Go,
like I've
oh
seen
man, I
so
would not want to
many.
do that to some random motorcyclist. Just get out of my truck and be like,
So that's why it was so funny to me, and I absolutely loved that. It showed the dynamics of the bike. I wish it was a little bit shorter of a commercial, and that's why I'm gonna give it second. I felt like you had two different commercials going on there, but overall, I feel like they did a great job showing off that bike.
yeah, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't break my heart. Don't break my heart. What's your number one?
Indian.
Oh, I
I'm
knew it.
sorry.
I knew it.
They did so good.
Yeah. No, that was, I hadn't even seen it. So I'd seen it pop up as a suggestion, but I just hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah.
They did really good.
That I feel like out of all of them, it showed all of the bike. It showed the dynamics of it. It showed the handling. They didn't miss a beat with that one.
Mhm.
It was exciting. It was fun. It was engaging. I think overall they did an amazing job.
Yeah. They showed all the colors. They showed the history of it. They showed all it could do. Man, I couldn't argue with it. I knew it was coming.
Yeah, there was after we saw that one, I was like, oh, it's gonna be hard to beat this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
They stayed true to their brand, which is still a very iconic brand. And so it was good overall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who did the poorest? This is hard because I feel like there were a couple that were just like, meh.
Yeah,
Just meh.
I think I'm gonna give that to the KTM.
Yeah.
I love the KTMs, and so I was a little bit disappointed. Like thinking about either adding a bike to my in my collection or even switching it up. KTM's been on my list. I've been following. I have a couple friends who ride those, and I've loved their bikes. Absolutely loved them. But the commercial was so busy. It was so confusing. It was showing excitement, but I didn't feel excitement.
I just feel like I couldn't focus because it was just
Mhm.
lots of audio cuts, lots of video cuts. Like I get you need to have those cuts because of attention span. You don't want too much of
Yeah.
the same clip, too much of the same sound.
Mhm.
But it was just like I wasn't able to absorb what it was trying to show me all at once, you know.
Yeah, well, and at the very beginning, I had my hopes up high because of the way they kind of introduced it. It was very almost, I don't want to say like Western movie, but it kind of showed the barren lot where it was like, hey, something exciting's about to happen. And then the first bike came on and it was exciting, but the transition to the other bikes weren't clean enough to realize that it was a bike change other than the words on the screen.
Yeah, it was almost like one was exiting, one was coming on at the exact same time. Yeah,
And
I
where
get that.
they were the same color, it was hard to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. Oof. Come on, KTM. You got to bring it up.
Reach out. We'll help you out on the next one.
All righty. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, that
What'd
was
you
a good
think?
one.
I'm glad that we decided to do it this way because that was a good time. So, those of you who are listening, make sure to hit up the Discord, go into the comment sections on YouTube and Spotify. Put in your remarks. What do you think? Who did the best? Who did the worst? What did you like? What didn't you like? It's kind of cool to see how all these different companies approach trying to get people to ride with them. You know, there are definitely some brands that caught my interest a lot more than I've ever thought I would, you know?
Yeah.
Honda did great, except for when they fumbled. Like if it weren't for that part, I'd put that in top 3.
Oh yeah, that That was the one that I kind of was like, oh, I really want to give them a top 3
Yeah.
spot, but I just can't because of the moped.
I just can't do it. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, definitely fun. Good to have some open eyes, especially in the motorcycle community. I think it's been too long of I only like my bike. I don't like anyone else's bike. So it's fun to have an episode like this where we can see what's out there to enjoy all aspects of motorcycling and motorcycling culture. So if you like the episode, make sure to leave a like on any platform that you're watching. Remember, this is available on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, YouTube, and all these links are on Instagram on our bio. So follow the Instagram, jump on the Discord, become part of the community. All those links on Instagram, like I said, also at the bottom of any video or show notes. So we love to get your input, love to hear what you have to say. We're always putting out new episode content and trying to get things scheduled to have people's voice on here so we can have it as one open forum. But want to thank Kenzi for joining us today, putting in her 2 cents on marketing in motorcycling culture, and hopefully we'll have her on again.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Plug mine now. If you want to see more of my
Oh, yeah.
content, go ahead and follow me on Instagram on rev_Nova NOVA_. I'm also coming out with my own podcast. It's going to be called The Writing Report. It will be available on Spotify and YouTube. Hopefully by July is when I'm hoping to have that out. And if you want to follow me on TikTok, it is BeBandit, BE, and then Bandit, all one word.
Sweet. Yeah. Make sure to check her out. Show her a lot of love and support. We're grateful that she was able to jump on. Funny enough, we were last second trying to get a show in. I was like, Kenzi, I need somebody because what I thought was going to happen is not happening until next week. So please, we got to get a show in on time. So super grateful for her for helping us out today. So show her some love. Go follow her on Instagram. And when her podcast pops up, I'm sure she'll post about it on there. That's where you'll find the information for it. So thank you again, and we'll see you next time.